We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win so much.
There's a shadow in which for the sun, and there is love in you for the one, and for the promises there is the sky, and for the heavens who can fly.
Hi and welcome. My name is Amy de Miceli from No One Has to Die Tomorrow. It is the 13th day of March 2018, and today I have an important article that I'd like to share with you. You can find it on noonehastodietomorrow.com, and it's titled American Global Dominance, the Economic Shift of a Lifetime. In February 2006, we began a series called Global Dominance. Part 1 covered the project for the new American century, and in April of that year we released a second in the series. So many things have transpired since 2006, but I find myself in a bit of a back where it started type of moment. The global dominance play that has been unfolding will actually make America great. By great, I mean huge and economically incredible. America is set to be big league. The plan has been run so smoothly, it is as if a master conductor has handpicked the orchestra and has been playing a flawless concerto for decades and decades. From the discovery of oil in Saudi Arabia to the U.S. oil crisis in the 1970s and its connection to 9/11, and how it's all coming together now is astonishing. This timeline of events can only be understood from standing far back. It has been difficult to connect the dots while standing in the midst of it all, but in this article I will light them up, making them easy to find as we connect them all together. Saudi Arabia's secret 40-year deal. A closer look at the plan and how it has unfolded may leave you dumbfounded. In March 1938, Saudi Arabia struck oil, and with the help of American ingenuity and money, an impressive infrastructure was built and helped make Saudi Arabia one of the wealthiest nations, but not without a price that they are now paying almost exactly 80 years later. In the 1970s, while the U.S. was being punished by OPEC's Arab nations because of our support of Israel, Nixon and the usual list of neocon henchmen sent Treasury Secretary William Simon to the Middle East with the goal to neutralize crude oil as an economic weapon and find a way to persuade a hostile kingdom to finance America's widening deficit with its newfound petrodollar wealth. Simon successfully convinced the Saudis that the safest place to put their wealth was in our debt. So for the next 40 years, America bought Saudi oil and offered aid and equipment to them, and in return, they continued to buy American debt. And we pretty much left them alone as our wars surrounded their country. This was all a secret agreement that lasted longer than anyone would have imagined, a secret that was not uncovered until 2016. This information coming to light puts a lot of things into perspective when putting the pieces of history back together. While we have all wondered for the past few decades how Saudi Arabia was so untouchable, this is why. They wanted to be rich and protected, and as long as America was their secret ally, that was the status quo. Today, Saudi Arabia is facing horrible times. They are in the middle of a war with Yemen that may end with a bloody conflict with Iran. They are no longer the world's largest oil producer, and America no longer needs them. Not for their oil, and not as a debt buyer.
You have a milkshake. And I have a milkshake. And I have a straw. There it is. That's a straw, you see. Watching. My straw reaches across the room and starts to drink your milkshake. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
Don't bully me, Daniel.
And now that they have become the unofficially official fall guy for 9/11, they have absolutely no sympathy from the American people. It would be difficult for Trump to attempt to openly back them in a war with Iran if it came to that. Destroying the competition. The plan for the new American century was a neoconservative think tank that turned out to be the playbook for the wars that expanded and continued to persist in the Middle East. It was a very open and public plan that got a lot of coverage from the alternative media shortly after 9/11. PNAC described the need for a Pearl Harbor-level event of catastrophic proportions as the only way any phase from their project could be implemented. September 11th was that day. The catastrophic event would kick off the start of the warring phase, and over the next 17 years, we have watched in shock and awe as they have decimated the Middle East. The devastation of undeclared wars of aggression have been done to fulfill the PNAC agenda, and sadly, it has been done by all the presidents. This is the PNAC dream realized. The wars were clearly oil wars, and not only because we needed to have all the oil, it was also so we could destroy and control the infrastructure and cripple these countries and send them back to the third world status that big oil found them in. Of course, they created the refugee crisis we are now arguing about, and that is another article in itself. But make no mistake, they are migrating because that is what the powers that be want them to be doing. Naysayers are about to get trumped. Over the past few months, there has been some real convincing chatter about the United States becoming the world's largest oil producer. The U.S. Energy Information Agency predicts that this will happen within the next 4 years. However, now that Congress has voted to open ANWR, and Trump plans on opening just about the entire U.S. coastal areas to drilling, totaling over 1 billion acres, this could all happen at a much more rapid pace. In fact, leasing contracts have already been fast-tracked. Drilling just ANWR alone will make America huge again. ANWR is the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. And although no one officially knows the amount of oil underneath the ground, some people believe that Alaska has more oil than the entire Middle East. Combine that with what will get sucked up from the coastal drilling, and America is looking at a serious economic boom. We will begin to see major signs of the pending oil strike before the end of the year, but definitely before the next election cycle, because the type of oil discoveries and prosperities that will come from this will no doubt get Trump reelected. Tariffs, unicorns, and Trump's debt-free legacy. Under Trump's goal to make America great, he has initiated tariffs on steel and aluminum. This has aggravated just about everyone. China is so upset that they are threatening to dump our debt and is attempting to convince the world that their petro yuan is not the fairy tale white unicorn that it actually is. After 25 years, they are now allegedly rolling it out. But don't worry, it will be meaningless to the U.S., despite what the mainstream fear monsters say. Americans are upset too, but I wonder what exactly everyone had been waiting for. The goal was to stop outsourcing everything and start building America up. It would be naive to think that this kind of growth would not come without some growing pains. Using American steel and aluminum for drilling in America could not be a clearer example of what his campaign mantra meant. I understand the argument that free trade is needed to let the markets work, but that is not what Trump was selling at election time. He was selling the idea that America could be on top of the world economically. He was selling American energy dominance, and for good or bad, we are set to be dominant. With the startup of these drills, so begins the rapid success that will become Trump's legacy. America will be sick of winning and so tired of winning, and then we'll win some more. The prosperity that is coming to America is so unexpected. In fact, look around and all you see and hear is how our dollar is dead, again, and how you should buy gold, again. The peddlers of fear and regret are trying to get rid of their last boxes of storable crap from their warehouses and telling you how you missed the Bitcoin boat and you should buy, and buy it all now. They are trying to send you down and out, setting you up for a big loss, and unfortunately, this time people will lose betting against America. The markets might be volatile, but they will not crash. In fact, America is on the verge of solving its debt crisis with oil. These oil discoveries that are set to come will affect so many different sectors and boom so many different aspects of our economy. This time, Trump was right when he said, we're going to win at every level. Of course, there is bound to be heartache with such rapid growth. Once the drills start, so do the environmental disasters, and there will be a lot of people fighting against this growth, especially those who already hate Trump. But mostly people will be so thrilled to have a job and not be forced to work in a service economy that in the end, I predict that Trump will be mostly a hero. Take California. Only an event like this could save them. Not war, oil, lots of black gold to peel the homeless off the streets of Anaheim and San Francisco. Our infrastructure will get the facelift it has been in desperate need of. We have treated our country so poorly without giving even a little bit back into it. No paved roads, no improved rails, and our cities have become unsafe war zones, and we just need to fix it up a bit. All the extra goodies that will come will renew the American bravado. The art of fake war. The new Soviet man narrative continues to unfold as Russia sets up the next play by threatening the U.S. with imaginary nukes to fear us with the threat of war. And there will be wars abroad, and American military men and women will be sacrificed to benefit the agenda. But there will be no nuclear war directly with Russia, just rumors of such wars. All of our Middle East conflicts have set off a chain of war events that have no end in sight. Iran has made a real move and dumped the US dollar. And what it is interesting is that they are one of the last countries left from the PNAC 9/11 hit list that have yet to been hit. What is even more interesting is that their need to dump the dollar comes as a direct result as their need to survive all the sanctions in place against them. It's a setup.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who had used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
If you look closely around every corner, you will see Russia meddling and manipulating the scene, pushing countries around with such disregard for them like a bear nosing through the trash, picking out what it suits them best. This all happens while the American president seems to shrug his shoulders without much care. After Russia and America are done playing war, using other countries as pawns, and when they have used their allotted cannon fodder, they will meet, and just like so many presidents before them, they will sign peace agreements that will have something to do with weapons and a lot to do with merging of our countries closer together. Break your conditioning now. This article is in no way an endorsement for how America has gotten to this position. Protesting the war was how No One Has to Die Tomorrow began. Achieving this top position as world's most dominant oil controller is why 9/11 was kicked off. This is why America, led by the global planners, decimated the Middle East. But it is also why our national debt no longer matters, because it will be erased with the gains ahead of us. It all leads to the fact that the New World, America, is meant to be at the top of the New World Order. For now. This is their play for global dominance. And who better to roll out the plan for the biggest economic win ever for America than the man who lives in a literal golden palace? We cannot lose focus of the fact that we have been led through this labyrinth like mice. It has been planned out, and in the end we will be ripe for more consolidation as a global community, and our slave grid will tighten, if we allow it. This scenario is great news for Betsy DeVos and her school-to-work plan to ready our children to be bound to careers that serve the powers that be, to help forge their brave new world order. However, short-term, financially, things could be very, very good for Americans, but we have to think long-term if we want to stop the global planners. Start your planning now. Don't squander your own family legacy. Crystal ball. In 2006, we predicted the housing bubble, and in 2008, we predicted the market crash. And today, we are predicting that America will have newfound wealth of the black gold variety before 2020. The global pole shift will happen, and it will be an economic shift like we have never seen in our lifetime. We will have the freedom to grow our personal wealth during this shift, but don't delay, because eventually the New World Order noose will tighten even more. With this power grab for America comes the Russian-American consolidation plan, and it will have clear roads once again as we cheer for our agreements of peace to be signed and the next level for global dominance can begin, unless we use our newfound individual wealth to stop them now. Thanks for listening. I look forward to your feedback, and remember to keep your candle burning bright, because no one has to die tomorrow.